Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Variable Action Heroes One Piece SABO figure. It's a pretty cool figure, and we're going to take a look at it, but first we're going to take a look at the packaging, because this is the kind of figure that you may want to keep the packaging for, as I do with all of my imports. It's a nice window box, got some nice artwork on the side there, the name on the bottom. Artwork continues onto this side, posing options on the back, and then another shot on this side. So a pretty nice window box. He has a bunch of accessories, but first I'll give you a height measurement in case you're curious. If you're not familiar with the line, you should know these guys are much bigger than your standard imports. These guys are 7.5 inches tall. He's just about 7.5, which makes him just about a little over 19 centimeters. So some serious size on these guys. They will not fit in with your figure arts or anything else like that. But that's okay because it's a really nice line anyway. Alright, let's get into the accessories. First of all, we have one face right here that you can see on him. That's the way it comes in the package. And also, of course, he has fist hands in the package also. Now, we have one alternate face, and that is this one. You can swap them out just by pulling the hair apart and putting the face in. I'd like to point out that the birthmark on there is sculpted and painted, so that's a very nice feature. And it's fairly accurate to the show. Now, I haven't actually seen the show where he is in it yet, because I'm not that far. So don't talk about the show at all. I'd rather you didn't. Thank you. He also has an interchangeable head, which is his hat with his goggles, and it has its own hair. And unfortunately, it's a really big pain to swap him out. So you have to pull the hair out of the hat, you have to separate the head, and then you have to pull this head off. And I don't know why they designed it this way. It seems really, really ineffective. So you have to separate this head like that, take the joint out, put the joint in the new head, put the face on the joint, put the hair back onto the face, and then put the hat back on the head. That's a total pain in the butt. I don't know why they made it so complicated. It works out okay in the end, but it just seems really counterproductive. Now, he does have the goggles on his hat here, and they are a separate piece. And I think originally they intended for you to be able to take the goggles off and to put them around his neck, as he does apparently in the show. That's what I've seen. Now, they also included, not in the package properly, but taped into the package, an extra set of goggles, which are too big. I don't know why they did that. They don't fit around the neck, and as you can see here, they are actually way bigger than the initial set by a lot. So what I would suggest, and do this at your own risk and use some caution, is to grab a hairdryer and warm these goggles up. And you should be able to slide them out. They're a soft plastic. You should be able to pull them off the hat without scratching anything or breaking anything if you really want to. And then you can lay those around his neck and they won't be incredibly oversized. That's what I would suggest, but again, do that at your own risk. Now, for the neck articulation, we just have this ball hinge, which is kind of silly because you can't spin it around in the top of the head, so you only get the forward and back hinge and the swivel from this peg. So it does limit the head posability quite a bit. The neck itself is on a ball peg down into the torso, but it has almost no range. Don't try to pull it forward or back. It will snap the peg. I already did that on one. So basically just use it as a little bit of a swivel to help in posing. That's it. Do not try to lean the head using that neck. It will most likely break. So you do only get the hinging and the swivel, unfortunately. But it'll have to do because otherwise it'll break. We're not even doing the articulation. Let's finish the accessories. Okay, so we have some hands. You already saw the fist hands. We have these two hands, which I suppose are recognizable if you're that far into the show. Like I said, I'm not, so I don't really know. But they are well sculpted, so that's a good thing. We also have his gripping hands for holding his accessory, so that's good. And we get one hand like this for holding one of the other accessories, which we're about to show. Which is this, and I believe this is his devil fruit, I think. Or it's a fireball. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't gotten that far, and it's actually been a really long time. It reminds me of a devil fruit, but I don't know. Either way, it's sculpted and painted well. We have one more hand, which is him holding a fireball, which is really well done. I love that translucent orange plastic with the shading on it. It's a separate piece from the hands, so you don't have to worry about paint scratching or anything like that, so that's really good. And then lastly, we have his staff, which just looks like pipe to me, but like I said, I don't know. But that's cool because we have that, and the cool thing about that is it pegs into his fire accessory, and that's actually part of the staff. It just gets stuck in there, so you're going to have to play with that. But you can take it apart so you can get it in his hand, then you can put it back together. So you have the fire that goes on that end. Come on, camera. So we have the fire there, and then we have the fire that goes on this end also. So that's a pretty cool accessory. I'm very pleased with that. I don't like how easy it is for this bottom part to get stuck. You're going to have to grab that with some tweezers or some fine needle nose pliers or something to get that out, so be careful. And then, of course, you can also slide that into, by taking it off to put it in his hand, taking the end piece off, you can slide this in back here, and he can carry it on his back, so that's a cool feature. Now, as far as the articulation goes, we already covered the head, so let's talk about the shoulders, because that's like the next part down. So the shoulder has basically the same articulation as Ace, it's just completely sculpted differently for the sake of the jacket. You have your standard hinge here. It can also hinge up and down on this top part here. It does have a hinge in there. It doesn't have the best range, but it is there. And then you also have a butterfly from front to back. And it actually all looks really good, so I'm very pleased with how that shoulder works. Good range of motion, no problems at all. Your bicep swivel is built into it, so you can use that in addition to the butterfly. It's still, the jacket itself, and this is one of the problems with the figure, it's very stiff for being a flexible plastic. So it limits the arms coming around the front at all, and it also limits down here, but we'll get to that. For the elbow, it's a double hinged elbow, which gives you really good range of motion. And for the wrist, you have a ball hinge, which gives you all the motion you need. Now for the torso, underneath this, whatever this thing is called, scarf, I guess, there's a double ball peg, I think, but it doesn't really do much because, like I said, this is really stiff. So it's almost impossible to even get in there to rotate this middle part of the torso, and that's why it's off center right now. It's really difficult. You have to kind of heat up everything so that this is softer, and you can go in there and kind of rotate it around just to get it to line up better, but it's still problematic. The torso articulation is not very good. And then at the belt, that's actually, this is a floating piece here, so you have another ball peg where you can rotate the lower waist, which gives you some more range of motion. And this is soft plastic, and if you raise the legs, you can see that the crotch is a separate piece from the bottom of the jacket, so that it'll just lift up and you can give him really nice range of motion. The legs go all the way forward, almost all the way out to the side. You have your thigh swivel built in there. It doesn't have the best thigh swivel in the world, but it is there. Double jointed knees, which work particularly nicely. I really like the way they do their knees. And then for the ankle, we have a ball peg, single ball peg, going from the foot up into the ankle. Good range of motion and a really nice toe hinge. So generally, it's a pretty darn good figure. Mine on the right hip, it gets caught on that inner piece right there, so it doesn't want to go back in place, and I have to kind of force it. So that's probably, hopefully it's not a universal thing. It's probably not. It might just be mine. But it's something I can live with. Then lastly, I think I already said lastly, but I forgot to mention it. These pieces are articulated. They just don't have the best range of motion, but you can still leave them down or put them out if you're putting them in an action pose. So pretty darn good figure. I just realized his scarf isn't stuck where it needs to be. I'll have to play with that. I don't know if that's a common issue or not. It might not be, but be aware that the scarf might not be stuck in where it's supposed to, so you might have to mess around with that a little bit. So there it is. It's a pretty darn good figure with a few issues, but I think I recommend it. If you're collecting one-piece figures, you probably should get SABO. And I think a lot of you are going to want me to take photos of SABO with Ace and Luffy, and I'm not doing that for this review. I'm going to do a comparative / collection-ish review for these guys in the near future, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. This guy is in stock at Big Bad Toy Store, so if you want to check out the link in the description below, you can get yourself one. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.